I'm doing a 100-day print-on-demand challenge where I start brand new stores and document the whole journey. What's up guys, Will here from Entrepreneurial Will, and in this video I will be covering the first 5 days of my print-on-demand challenge. So first things first, for some context, my name's Will, as I said before, and I run multiple print-on-demand stores that have amassed thousands of sales. I make content teaching people how to do the same thing, and one thing I hear really often is that I started at the right time, it's too saturated now, or I got lucky, and that the average person can't do this now. It is because of these comments that I decided to pursue this challenge to show you guys that yes, you actually can start a successful print-on-demand business in the present day, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'd also super quickly like to mention that I have a print-on-demand Facebook group, so if you're interested in print-on-demand, which I feel like most of you watching this video are, feel free to join. The link is in the description. It's a great community that I'm building to talk about print-on-demand, share insights, learn, get advice from me, etc. Alright, seriously, without further ado, let's dive into it. So like I said, this video, being part 1, is going to cover the first 5 days of the challenge. In some ways, this might not be the most exciting part of the series, because you know, there's not like sales coming in yet, but it is probably one of the most important, because you have to know how to get started. So first things first, what platforms will I be selling my print-on-demand designs on? There's tons of options, but I'll be sticking with 3. Etsy, Redbubble, and Zazzle. Why? You see, most of you are probably thinking, Will, there's so many other places to sell print-on-demand products. Why these 3? My answer to that is, well, you are right, but as you can see in the chart I'm putting on screen, these are the 3 that receive the most traffic. Although technically using every single platform would seem like the most profitable option, it would honestly get overwhelming and I probably wouldn't do a good job at things like SEO on each of the platforms. So I just decided to go with the 3 highest traffic options. Next, what will I be using in this challenge in terms of tools and software? I think this is really important to talk about because it's super important for anyone starting print on demand to know what tools they need. Keep in mind, I will be using some paid tools that, although I could recommend and say are good, you definitely do not need to use. My first few years doing print on demand, I did not use any paid tools and I still had success. I want that to be clear. Anyway, let me go over the list. So firstly, what print on demand company will I be using? This might be confusing because, as I said earlier, the 3 print-on-demand sites I will be using are Etsy, Redbubble, and Zazzle. Let me clear this up. On sites such as Redbubble and Zazzle, it is the place where you buy and sell products, but it is also that same company that takes care of the fulfillment, that is creating the product and sending it to the buyer. However, sites such as Etsy do not work like this. Etsy is very simply a marketplace where people could sell their goods. Print on demand is permitted on Etsy, however, Etsy takes no part in the actual creation and fulfillment process. So, when doing print on demand on Etsy, which you should do because as you saw in the chart it gets so much traffic, you need a print-on-demand company that will actually fulfill the orders. Luckily, there's a bunch of companies that do this and integrate perfectly with Etsy, meaning that when an order comes in, you don't even have to do anything, not even a single click. It'll integrate and therefore do everything automatically. The amount of options when it comes to print-on-demand companies is pretty overwhelming because there's so many, so let me make this a bit easier for you. What I will be going with, have always gone with, and recommend to you guys is Printful, which is the most popular option. Printful is the leader in print-on-demand and it has various warehouses around the world. This is great as it means for most products, orders will be fulfilled in the warehouse closest to the customer, meaning it'll get in their hands faster, which is good for you and your reputation. They also have a wide variety of products and it's always growing, and due to how popular they are, they're actively improving. One of the biggest complaints I hear about Printful is that they aren't the cheapest option. To that I say, it is true, but you often get what you pay for. Now, I'm not saying that Printful is perfect and has never had any quality control issues, but overall they hold up a lot better compared to competitors like Printify. You might be thinking that the quality doesn't really matter and it's all about making that highest profit because it's not you owning the products, but it actually really matters. The last thing you want is unsatisfied customers, and that's because they leave reviews on your store. And the worst thing for your Etsy store is to have one of your first reviews be a bad review, because one of the first things buyers see when they're considering buying your products is your star rating. And nobody's going to buy from a store with 1 or 2 or 3 star reviews. In my years doing print on demand using Printful and Etsy, I've managed to maintain a star rating of above 4.7 on 5 on my various stores. Furthermore, although Printful isn't the cheapest option, it's by no means expensive. The base cost of a t-shirt fully printed is usually just under $10 and hoodies are just about $20, leaving you plenty of room to make a good profit. Although Printful has a wide variety of products, it doesn't have everything, and there are tons of unique print-on-demand sites with unique offerings that might interest you. For example, one thing Printful doesn't offer is good face masks, and I'll actually be using Printify for those, because although I don't love Printify overall, their face masks are pretty good in terms of quality. Alright, let's move on. Next up, to actually make the designs, I'll be using Photoshop. Now I know Photoshop costs money, and for those of you looking for a free alternative, I recommend Photopea. It's basically an online Photoshop clone. It's browser-based, and then there's also Canva, which is great. Most of my designs will be pretty simple text designs because I am not an artist, but in my years using Photoshop, I have become pretty good with it. So with that being said, I will occasionally be wanting some graphics for my designs. For that, I'll mostly be using a really good free vector site called Pixabay. Pixabay has thousands upon thousands of free designs that you could use commercially so long as you actually add something or modify the design. You can't just sell it as is. You have to add or modify something, you know? Pixabay has thousands upon thousands of free designs for commercial use, but they do have one condition, and that is that you can't just use the designs as is. You have to add something or modify the design, which is fine. There's tons of other places where you could find free to use graphics for commercial use, but the reason I recommended Pixabay is because it's one of the few sites where everything on it is free. Oh, let me also advise you that it's important to make alterations to the designs from Pixabay and whatnot, not just in respect to the artist, but also because of Etsy's policy. Etsy originated as a handmade marketplace, and to this day it still requires you to sell stuff with at least a minor creative element to them. So you can't just sell straight stock photos or graphics onto t-shirts. Would you probably get away with it for some time? Yes, but you risk eventually losing your shop, and that would really suck, especially if you worked hard and started getting a lot of sales and then had to restart. Don't do it. Next up, when it comes to Etsy, you could add your own custom images to the listings, and me personally, I don't like using the default ones offered by Printful. Although they aren't bad, and I did use them for the first few years with success, what I don't like is that there's tons of other people selling on Etsy who use Printful, and therefore have the exact same mock-up images as you. So when someone is shopping on Etsy and sees in the search results your product along with 5 others using the exact same mock-up image, it could sometimes be a little off-putting and make the customer feel like a bit less care was put into the product. That's why I started using a service called Placeit a few months ago. I'm not going to explain Placeit in too much detail because I did make a video about it, which you could get to by clicking the link that I just put on screen. But in brief, Placeit is a website offering thousands and thousands of high-quality mock-up images for t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, really more or less every print-on-demand product that I'm gonna sell. They also offer mock-up videos, which is pretty insane to think about because just imagine the motion tracking and stuff that goes into that. In just a few seconds, you could have your design look like it's on a person who's moving around. They also offer thousands of pre-made and fully editable print-on-demand designs, as well as some things like social media templates and whatnot. Placeit definitely has increased my sales and conversion rate, but I do want to tell you guys it is not free. Placeit is usually $15 a month, but using the link in the description, it offers you 15% off monthly and 50% off annually. Now, full disclosure, I am a Placeit affiliate. Now, with that being said, having a relationship built on trust with you guys is important to me, and I do not affiliate, market, or promote services that I do not actively use and find value in. I used Placeit for many months before even discovering that they have an affiliate program. Now, I don't want to deceive you. You don't have to use Placeit to have success with print on demand. Yes, Placeit did increase my sales and conversion rate, but I'll also admit I did not use Placeit for my first numerous years, and I was still successful, guys. Last on the list is a tool that helps me in my product research and Etsy SEO. This tool is called eRank, and it is an awesome Etsy SEO tool that offers a ton of things. And yes, most of what this tool offers is completely free. I actually recommend the free plan, and I'll also say I am not in any way affiliated with this company. One of the most useful tools is their keyword research tool, which shows you how competitive it is to rank for any particular keyword, as well as throws out a bunch of related keywords you could use and a bunch of other useful analytics for that keyword. They also have a grade tool, which essentially analyzes all of the active listings in your shop and gives it a grade from A to F. Now, obviously, it would be pretty useless for them to just give you a grade, but no. along with that grade, they give you a bunch of tips personalized to each listing to help you get more traffic and sales towards them. And yes, their tips actually do help, like a lot. eRank has countless other tools, and let me know if you'd like me to make a video to dive into all of them in the future, because that would be a video on its own. So like I said, eRank has a free plan and a paid plan, and the features I just mentioned are all available in the free plan. However, although the free plan gives you access to the tools I mentioned, it has some limitations, such as for the keyword research tool, you could only do 5 searches a day. For me, this is completely fine, but I will admit I've been using Etsy for many years before I even discovered this tool, and so I don't really need as much help with my SEO. For a beginner who might have a bit more trouble with SEO, there is the possibility that 5 keyword searches a day is a bit limiting, and so the paid plan, which I believe is $6 a month, ups that quota to like 50 or 100 searches a day, so more than you'd ever use, and it unlocks some other features. But again, I am not an eRank affiliate, and my recommendation is to go with the free plan, and if you find it's limiting but you find it useful overall, then consider upgrading to the $6 a month plan. So these are the tools I will be using for the print on demand challenge. If I forgot something or end up using something I forgot to mention in this video, I'll make sure to mention it when I use it. However, I think that's really it. So moving on, at the time of recording this, it is not day 1 of the challenge, but rather day 5. So what have I done with my first 5 days? Firstly, I created some designs. I started by creating around 15 or so, which will make for about 30 products, since of course the same design that works on a t-shirt or something could often also work on a hoodie or a mug, so one design can make more than one product. I will of course be making more designs as I go through the challenge. Something interesting to note is that out of my 15 or so designs, I hit 4 or 5 different niches. This is interesting because if you've watched other print-on-demand content creators, or even some of my other content, it's usually recommended to stick to one niche. Here's my opinion and advice on the matter. So yes, I do generally recommend sticking with a niche, as it makes customers more likely to buy multiple products and come back, and it also allows you to really understand the market and master the SEO for a particular niche better. However, when first starting your store, unless you're dead set on a particular niche out of passion, I do recommend experimenting a bit initially. I recommend initially dabbling with a couple of different niches, making a few designs for each, and then analyzing which perform better, not just in terms of sales, because you may or may not get them in the first short amount of time, but even just views. It is at that point that I recommend doubling down on what is shown to perform better. I recommend this strategy because it takes the guesswork out of picking the best ideal niche and allows you to make your decision based on real market data. Despite this being the advice I give to you guys, I'm actually going to be sticking with a general store throughout this challenge, which is new for me as I've always gone with niche stores. Now of course I still will be using the data I get in terms of what performs better to know what designs to make more of, but I will never be completely exclusive to one niche. Anyway, those are my 2 cents. Like I said, I started off with about 15 or so designs, but I will be adding more as the challenge progresses. Now, I will not be showing you guys each and every single one of my designs because that would probably lead to a lot of copying, which would be completely counterproductive. However, to give you guys an idea of the type of designs I use and show you that I'm really not doing any crazy designs and I'm not an artist, I will put a few on screen. So as you guys can see, there's really nothing crazy about these designs. And also, I'm not sure if I'm putting them on screen, but some of my designs are political. I just want to be clear that I'm not swinging one way or the other politically. I'm not expressing a political opinion. I'm just doing what will sell, and I'm going to do some designs that lean left and lean right. Great. So beyond that, I also, of course, in these first 5 days, opened my Etsy, Redbubble, and Zazzle account. To show you guys that I really am using brand new, unestablished stores, I'm putting screenshots on screen of the empty Etsy, Redbubble, and Zazzle store. So now, at the time of recording this, there's actually one thing I didn't do yet, and that is put my designs onto products on the 3 different marketplaces. So I'm going to go do that right now. It's going to take a few hours, and then I'll start recording again. So what I've decided to do is actually take you guys along with me through the upload process for one of my designs on the different marketplaces. So first, I'm starting with Etsy, which I've already integrated with my Printful account, so here I am on Printful. As you can see, this design is in the crypto niche, and it says early Bitcoin investor. I'm going to put this on a t-shirt, a mug, and a hoodie, but for now I'm just going to do a t-shirt. So I've already placed the design here. Now for the mockup step, like I said, I'm personally going to be using Placeit to replace the mockups with better ones, so it doesn't really matter too much what I put here. but I'll just pick this one and I'll move on to the important step. Obviously for you guys, if you're not using Placeit, make sure to choose what you deem to be the best mockup. Now once you're at this step, this is the most important part because your SEO, and that is how you title or word your title, description, and tags, is gonna make the difference in whether you get found on Etsy or you don't. So since I'm already pretty experienced with Etsy and Etsy SEO, this comes pretty easy to me, but I'm gonna try and explain in some detail my process so that you guys could understand it. So first of all, when it comes to the target keyword, the main thing I wanna rank for when people search on Etsy, it would obviously be lovely to make it Bitcoin t-shirt, right? However, one thing to keep in mind is that Etsy search results favor stores that already have a lot of sales. So if you're trying to rank high for a very popular search term, it's very unlikely to happen. There's just too much competition from shops that already have a bunch of sales. So what do? Well, what I recommend is you actually try and rank for search terms that still have people searching for them, but don't try and rank for the most competitive one as a new store. It just doesn't make sense. You aren't going to end up ranking for anything. Just try and target keywords that might get a bit less traffic, but still enough, and that way you're actually ranking for, low to medium competition keywords. So one way I kind of try and see if there's room for me as a new store to rank is actually just using logic on Etsy. So what I do is I first go to Etsy and I search up some search terms that I think I'm going to want to use, for my title and tags. So my goal here is to see if there's room for a small shop, one that doesn't have any sales or reviews yet, to actually possibly rank on the first page. So how I do this is I actually go through the first page of results of the search term and I see how big are the shops that are here. So you see how each of the shops here has a number here? That's how many reviews they have. And so you could assume that they usually have between 5 times and 12 times as many sales as they have reviews. Now always ignore the rows that are ads because they paid to be there and it has nothing to do with how popular they are. But so obviously in the first page, you're going to see lots of shops with lots of reviews. But what I like to see in order to see if a small shop like me could possibly rank is see if there's any shops, except for the ads of course, that have little to no reviews managing to rank on the first page. Because if so, that means that there's probably some room for me if I do good SEO. So going through, I do see a lot of shops with a lot of reviews, but then, this one only has 5 reviews. Let's go down a bit more. This one also only 5 reviews. These are ads, so you want to ignore that. Overall, this search term is pretty competitive. I'm not going to lie. Even if there's 1 or 2 shops with 5 reviews, overall, they have a lot of reviews. Now we're starting to see some with no reviews. So I think I am going to target this, but I'm also going to want to search up some other search terms like maybe Bitcoin investor t-shirt or cryptocurrency t-shirt or maybe Bitcoin gifts. I'm not going to go through all of them now, but basically I'm going to go through them and then see which ones, have some space for somebody who doesn't have a lot of reviews based on if shops in the first page of search results, there's some of them that don't have a lot of reviews. You always want to make sure that a lot of the results do have reviews, because if there's none of the products with any reviews, then that's probably just a sign that there's no demand. Obviously, you want it to not be too competitive, but you want to see some shops here that are doing well. That's how you know you actually have a chance of getting sales if you end up on this page. So you want to find a balance. So of course, using eRank, you could also do some research on this using the keyword research tool. So basically here, some of these, I just got the paid plan, so you can't see all of these metrics on the paid plan, but you could see Etsy competition, and that's the most important one. So when you search a keyword, it gives you a bunch of related keyword ideas with the competition level. Don't worry too much about the actual number, just understand this. As a new store, you want most of your tags, what you use in your title and description, to mostly be in the green. Now, I'm not talking too low in the green, like this one is 186, that might be considered a bit low, but you don't want to be using these. Basically, don't worry too much about the number, just the higher the number, basically the more competitive it is. So you want to be using some that are in the green. And then I know there's none here, but there's also some that are in the yellow sometimes. So as a new store, I recommend doing almost all green mixed in with a little bit of yellow. But you want to make sure that the keywords are still relevant. For example, Waymaker t-shirt here, like it's a good level of competition, but it's not relevant, so keep that in mind. But okay, I have a good idea of what I'm going to do, and so I'm going to show you the kind of format I use. Alright, so I have my title done, and as you can see here, my general format is to put the most descriptive, still keyword-rich, Bitcoin investor t-shirt. That's a search term that people use. I like to put that at the beginning. Then I use a divider. You don't have to, or you could use a dash. I just like to use like the vertical line divider. And then I add in a few more long tail keywords. Just to be clear, what long tail keywords are keywords you want to target that are usually multiple words and a bit less competitive. So for example, dog would just be a keyword, but as a small store, you have no chance of ranking for dog. So what you would do is instead, like, what dog breed is it? Like maybe German Shepherd t-shirt or German Shepherd lover gifts or something like that. That would be a long tail keyword. So yeah, that's how I would make my title for a product like this. So then for my description, I aim to make it a sentence or two or three. Realistically, I do wish this one was a bit longer, but what I do here is I casually include as many long tail keywords in the description, but of course not just spamming them, but in a sentence. Because repetition makes the Etsy algorithm know that, oh, okay, it holds more weight. It makes your long tail keywords hold more weight if you repeat them. So as you can see, I said this early Bitcoin investor, using once again the Bitcoin investor that I used here, t-shirt features printed gold text and is perfect for all Bitcoin investors. I say it again, you don't really have to use the same thing twice, but I do. And hodl, so hodlers and crypto lovers. See how I'm casually including in a sentence that still makes sense the long tail keywords. Then I do recommend actually keeping the bullet points that they put here. Buyers like to know. Printful keeps this for you for all of your products. Me, I'm not having this t-shirt available in the heather colors, just white, black, and navy. So I am going to be getting rid of these bullet points here because they're irrelevant. Next, you always want to keep the size guide. You could add both, or you could just keep it imperial. That's in inches. That's what most people use for reference. And on Etsy, it adds it as an image. So always keep this in. So then for my tags, I used all 13. You always want to use all 13. I know sometimes it could be hard, but seriously, if you're not using all of them, you're not maximizing your potential. So as you can see, once again, what I said about long tail keywords is important here. I'm not just going to try and use Bitcoin as a tag, because as much as it would be awesome to get on the first page for just Bitcoin, it's way too competitive for my shop right now because it has no sales. Down the line, for sure. But for now, I'm just targeting long tail keywords that still get search traffic, but not too much that it's too competitive. So as you can see, Bitcoin t-shirt, Bitcoin investor tee. You see, I'm using a lot of repetition here, and of course, because there are 13 tags, I incorporate some new ones. So then I proceed to pricing, and keep in mind the prices here are in Canadian. The Canadian dollar is worth a bit less than the US. For reference points, I'll tell you guys prices in US dollars. So I like to, I can mark up quite a bit. You don't just want to be making like, $3 profit here. Also, the profit you see here is as if Etsy didn't have any fees. Etsy has in total, after everything, like a 7 or 8% fee. It's not too bad, but on average it ends up being about, depending on the cost of the item, but between $150 and like $350 for like hoodies. So keep that in mind and go a bit higher. But you see, you don't have to be too conservative with it. Obviously, you don't want to make a t-shirt $30 US, but I usually make mine about 22 Canadian, which for reference is about 18 US plus shipping. In US dollars, after all the fees and everything, that gives me about $8 or $9 for t-shirts, which is, it's great. So then you just click submit to store, and over the next 30 seconds, it pushes to your Etsy store. So keep in mind, when you push your Printful product to Etsy, it'll first actually be in draft, so it's not published yet. What I like to do before hitting publish is first going to edit, and honestly, it's pretty important you do this. So me, I'm going to be using placeit mockups and replacing these images, but if you're not, that's no problem. But what I would do is adjust your thumbnail. That is the image people are going to see, like how it's cropped when people are on search results. So what I would do is not just leave it like this, it's small. You want people to be able to see the text and everything. And then you click save. And so, I would have it approximately like that, more or less. But like I said, I'm going to be using placeit, but As I said earlier, you don't have to use Placeit. I did this for years, just like this. Then they even have videos in beta. If you are subscribed to Placeit, or you buy samples of your t-shirt, fully take a video. I mean, it doesn't hurt. 5 to 15 seconds, no audio. Basically, they're running a test where half of Etsy shoppers could actually see videos. And I mean, I'm sure it only improves conversion rate, but you don't have to. So then, as you can see, your title is filled in. Most things are filled in, but I do personally like to add as much as possible the optional categories here. The more the better, but I know sometimes you just can't fill things in. I usually don't fill everything that's optional in because sometimes it's like celebration. Like, I'm not going to filter it down to a certain celebration for this shirt. And then, yeah, that's really about it. Then you're ready to hit publish. So now I'm going to show you the upload process for Redbubble, and I've decided because how things work with Redbubble and Zazzle, including the SEO strategy, are so similar, I'm just going to show you Redbubble. Zazzle really just follow the same strategy. So obviously you would first upload your work, so I'll be going with the same design here. So then the SEO strategy. So keep in mind, Redbubble, it's a lot quicker. You could actually add the design on a bunch of products at once, and you could edit the placement because that doesn't look good. But literally a bunch of products at once. Redbubble automatically adds the type of product that it is at the end of your title. So don't add t-shirt or sticker or anything in your title, because when someone searches up and finds my design and they were looking for t-shirts, it'll already put t-shirt at the end of the title. Don't add it. So make sure to not add the product type, whether it be t-shirt or mug, but besides that, the strategy is very similar to Etsy, except that for titles on Redbubble, you generally want to make them a bit shorter. On Etsy, you saw how I had like 4 or 5 long tail keywords. On Redbubble, it's better to just have about 2. As you can see though, I do follow the same overall format with, the most accurate descriptive title and then, just 1 or 2 little keywords here. Then there's your description. So from what I've heard, your description doesn't really affect your rankings within Redbubble so much. But here's the thing, that Redbubble products end up on Google a lot, whether that's Google Images or whatnot, and it does affect things there. So definitely still pay attention to your description. And the strategy here is once again very similar to Etsy's, except you wouldn't include like this t-shirt or this mug because people could get it on a variety of products. But see what I did? I included, Bitcoin investor, hodl, crypto, doesn't have to be too long. So then when it comes to tags, there is no minimum or maximum, but I do recommend using as many as you find relevant without using, more than 15, 16. Generally between about 6 and 15 is good. And so once again, very similar strategy as Etsy. Keywords, mostly long tail keywords. Redbubble is a much less competitive marketplace than Etsy, so it is okay to, use more competitive tags, but mix them in with multi-word tags. And yeah, also once again, make sure to not include a product type, because basically when someone searches up a certain product type, it'll add the product type at the end of your tag. So Bitcoin investor, if someone is searching for stickers related to Bitcoin, it'll make your tag Bitcoin investor sticker. Like, seriously, don't add product type. It's not only because I'm saying it, they advise against it. I promise, do not do it. Even if you're only activating your design for one type of product, which I don't see why you would do, that's a waste. Even then, Redbubble advises you to not add the product type in the tags. But anyway, that's the SEO strategy, and once again, same rules apply for Zazzle. It's really the same thing here. So then here you would basically activate as many products as it looks good on, even if you think a product is less popular. Like, the most popular things on Zazzle are stickers, t-shirts, and mugs, but still activate it for more than that because the other things are less competitive, and so it can actually be a good idea. It would be a waste not to. So customers have the option to pick, any color option, but, by default, that's what they'll see first. So make the default whatever you think it looks best on. For me, I think black looks best. And then here, you could adjust your markup. As a new store, I'm probably going to keep it at 20%, keep it relatively competitive with other products, but you could raise it, anything between 15 and 35 or 40% is reasonable. What I recommend doing is, being at around 20% at first and raising it once you get some sales. But yeah, so you really want to activate it for as many products as you can. You know, it's pretty quick and easy. It's not hard to do. Make sure to check your margins. There is somewhere in your settings where you could change your markup for all products. So have the default be something other than 20. If you want to make that faster, go ahead. So once you're here, you could select up to 2 medias that it is. This isn't really so important, but this was digital art slash, I guess, design and illustration, so I would pick that. It doesn't matter so much. Then the default product in your shop. So that is, if someone's on your shop, what will be the default thing that they see it on? Because once they click on it, they could see, oh, it's available on a t-shirt, a sticker, a mug, but the default thing is what they'll see first. Now keep in mind, if they are on search and they're searching, you know, Bitcoin investor sticker, then they'll see it as a sticker if it shows up, which is what SEO is for. Or if they search Bitcoin investor t-shirt, you know, it'll adjust for them. But this is if someone is on your shop. So Redbubble has recently added an optimized feature where, as you can see here, it will show a mix of products based on sales and the individual customer's interest. I haven't tested this yet, but what I will usually do is just do what it looks best on. So for a lot of things, that is stickers. Honestly, for most things, that is stickers. But the thing is, stickers don't get the biggest profits, but stickers do sell the most by far on Redbubble. But this is one of those designs where, like, stickers, like, I don't even know if it'll work as a sticker, as you can see here. And this is really a thing where I'll activate it for a bunch of things, but I think t-shirt would be the default I would put here. But I definitely am going to play around with optimized and see if it's good, because I have yet to test it. Then you would just, is it mature? No. Here, post, you're done. So it's been a few hours now and I finally uploaded all of my products. There's some that I didn't add to Zazzle because Zazzle's upload tool is so annoying, but I still recommend using Zazzle. To be honest, yeah, there's less customers, but it's still the third most popular print-on-demand platform, and it probably is less competitive. So, you know, there's pros and cons. Well, wow, here we are. That was a long video, but I hope it was really helpful for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here and follow the series. I will have other videos coming out, and I have other videos. It's not just this series, but I will be making videos for this series. I'm not sure how often, but from day 1 to 100, well, we're on day 5 now, so between now and the end of the series, there'll at least be 4 or 5 or 6 parts. You know, I plan on doing one every milestone. No point in doing one every day or 2 or 3, because not much will have changed. I won't have much to say. But definitely on average, you know, every week and a half or 2 weeks, and I'll show you guys the results, where I'm at, what I'm doing, etc. I'm gonna end this here, so thank you guys so much for watching. Wish me luck editing this in advance, even though by the time you're watching this, it's done, and I'll catch you next time.